Is somebody gonna put the cash down? Cause the Glazers want 6 billion. Here's the dillion. They only spent 270 million. On top of that took dividends. And who pays for that? It's us the civilians. Thani, best bring him in. What? Is somebody gonna put the cash down? Cause the Glazers want 6 billion. Here's the dillion. They only spent 270 million. On top of that took dividends. And who pays for that? It's us the civilians. Thani, best bring him in. Best bring him in. What? My manager once said good ain't good enough. Sir Jim Ratcliffe just being a United supporter, that ain't good enough. We need a new stadium, team investment, another few billion for summing up. We need a new stadium, team investment, another few billion for summing up. What? Run it up, 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 run it up. Yo, this is the OT99 Banter room where opinions are shared and smoke gets served. Look, today we finally have NK back. We finally have NK back. He's gone on his hiatus. You know, he's finally come back to planet Earth. How are you feeling, NK?
Bro, we're not playing, so I'm back, man. You stressed me out, man.
You was God. I was telling Edwin, bro, this guy is missing one more time, bro. This guy, we need to find a new Ghanaian up in this thing. What's going on, bro?
You need to, man. Look, I'm not going to be out here watching 7-0 victories, man. I mean, 7-0 defeats, man. That stuff, it broke me, man. It broke me. that defeat broke me, man. Look, we move, innit? We move.
Look, we move, man. Look, today, obviously, this is a different show. Like, we ain't actually talked about the takeover in too much detail in our channel, and I think one of the reasons why is because it's a moving goalpost. Like, it's moving pictures every day. You know, 1 minute you're hearing a bid is submitted, 1 minute you're hearing it's not, 1 minute you're hearing it's this price, 1 minute you're hearing it's that price. It gets a lot, and it just reminded me of, even though it starts off exciting in the beginning, it reminded me of the whole like Sancho saga and even De Jong of late, where you just get information overload. You know what I mean? People recycle the same information and you just get tired. It gets exhausting. So I kind of stayed away from it. But since we're in a break, it's a good opportunity to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Since, you know, there's no Premier League football as of yet. So look, we can get into it. So Manchester United, obviously, if you haven't heard, you must be hiding under a rock somewhere. Manchester United is well in the way of the process of selling the club. So the Glazers are well in the way of selling the club. And obviously the two major bids that are standing out is Thani, the Qatari, and also Sir Jim Ratcliffe via Ineos, you know, which is his chemical company, which owns a franchise of many different, you know, cycling, F1, Nice football club, and football and various different things. So look, NK, first of all, I'm going to start off with this. People dodge this question, and I understand why people dodge this question, because it can be a controversial, you know what I mean? It can be a controversial topic. We know everything surrounding it. But I'm going to just ask you, because obviously we want to keep it 100 in this place. So look, who do you want taking over Manchester United come summer? Who do you want to see?
Look, to me, it's simple. The good news is that we want to Glazers out, you know, because of the way in which like they run the club. But ultimately, they left the club in such a mess that it's not just about someone just coming in and buying the club and just letting the club kind of like take care of itself, you know. Yeah. There's a stadium that needs to be done. There's a debt that needs to be cleared in order for the club to be able to invest into like the football team, you know, not just the men ones too, the women's one too, and the academy. So there's a lot of work needs to be done too. So with owners, I've always said it's not just about money that they bring. Right now, football has become a thing where you can spend all the money, but if you spend the money in the wrong places, you're just not going to have success. Look at Man United. The Glazers have spent money on transfers. We've just been buying bad, and that's just where we are. So I look at all of them in terms of like what their business plan is, you know, what is that they're going to be bringing, like what is the plan? And to me, as of now, I'm more kind of like I'm more in favor of the Qatar kind of like bid, you know, because they promise things like what do you call it? They're going to redevelop the whole place, you know, so change the whole outlook of how Man United kind of like look, a bit like how the City Group is like. And that to me is a selling point to me too. They also promised that debt free, that they're gonna make the club debt free too. So all the debt that's there too, they're gonna wipe it out to something that I haven't heard from say Jim Ratcliffe. He hasn't come out to kind of like say that too. They also want to buy the whole 100%. So they don't want to only own the 69. They want to own literally the whole thing so that they can have the whole voting rights and literally be able to have the sole control of the football club. So that also is another good thing too. And obviously with Ratcliffe, I look at it about both of them, how they're gonna run their football team with the Man United owner. He doesn't own a football club, so we don't know how he's gonna own a football club. So we don't have no reference to that. So you could say that's probably like kind of like an unknown zone. But with Ratcliffe, he had like a football team. He had a cycling team. His cycling team is very successful, by the way, top notch to that. But his footballing team is what just okay. You're gonna buy a football club. You got a few of, I think you got 2 or 3 football clubs already. So I said, let me look at them and see how you are operating like through that. And from what the research that I have done, I haven't really liked how he's run his football club in France, which is Nice, you know. I mean, what do you call it? I mean, why Man United probably complain about having Bankins run a football club. He had a cycling guy running the football club because the guy who was the cycling guy done such a brilliant job with the cycling team that he put him in charge of the football team. But we all know that it's different sports and you have to do things differently too. So that's when they kind of like went wrong over there too. Although this season, it's kind of like gone back to kind of like hire like a good sporting director, which has kind of like helped kind of like patch up things. But if you look at some of the fans' review from the Nice side, they're not really a big fan of him too. So I questioned how he will come in here and do things differently because we are coming from a very toxic place and we just don't need another toxic owner or someone who's going to come. We just need someone to kind of like do stuff in a way that we like. And one thing about the Qatar thing too is I just feel like with the way how football is and with the way how City is, look, City hasn't been all that great in terms of like signing players. But one thing that they've been good at is that they are able to write off their transfer if it doesn't go good. Something that we might not we haven't been able to do. If we sign a player and it's bad, we get stuck with them for like 10 years. City, they will literally sell them off quickly and bring someone inside. And I think the Qatar people kind of like, they have that with them because they have the cash. So even if we go and sign a player who's like 70 million and it doesn't work out, we can probably sell them for like 40, make some money, add a few more to it, and kind of like replace that. So because of that reason, I'm more heading towards the Qatar bit. Yeah.
You know what you touched on with the Nice thing, yeah? I mean, I'm sure fans would have done their research, but for those that haven't, look, I've been reading up on this too, right? So you're talking about this guy called Sir Dave Brailsford. I'm just reading off the thing as well. So he was a former Team GB cycling coach, and he was serving as the Ineos director of sport, or he may still be. I'm not sure.
He was because when Jim went to the bid, he actually took him with him to go to the bid. So he got a big influence still.
So they're saying in this report, right? This is from the Guardian. It says, so Sir Dave Brailsford, he acted as Nice's de facto director in general in the summer, and then he conducted an audit of the club, and then set about overseeing their transfer policy. The audit dragged on and combined with a spectacular falling out between Gautier and Fournier. The club wasted weeks of valuable time in the transfer market and were left scrambling. It also goes on to say Brailsford audit led to the departure of CEO Bob Ratcliffe, which is Jim Ratcliffe's brother, and the transfer guru Fournier, for those who didn't know who he was earlier. And then Gautier might have been sacked as well if it had not been from his old friend Luis Campos, not who was installed at PSG. But it also goes on to say essentially allowing him to fail upwards. Gautier had been openly critical of the club's recruitment before he left and was apparently concerned about Ineos's commitment and the caliber of people making transfer decisions. The manager had reportedly lost faith in Ineos before leaving PSG. Now, these are worrying things to hear, right, when you talk about the club, because obviously when we talk about Jim Ratcliffe, everyone's talking about, you know, in terms of, we know where his money's coming from, even though it may have some issues with the chemical side of things that has its own politics surrounding all of that. But they're more like comfortable with the fact that, you know, his money, you can know where it's coming from. It's more clean if you're comparing the two. and he's a Manchester United fan, and they fall in love with a dream. But then they forget that this is the same person that tried to buy Chelsea and that almost fell through. Do you know what I mean? And
right.
And then the running of the club.
He got a season ticket with Chelsea, by the way. He watched more Chelsea games than Man United. So.
You know what I mean? And secondly, you know, Manchester United, right? So, I mean, I feel like he kind of missed the ballpark and the Qataris got off on a better foot when they hired like a PR firm to manage their statements, and I don't think Jim Ratcliffe did that. So people are now thinking that Jim Ratcliffe don't want to buy 100% of the club. I feel like he mentioned that, you know, he wants to buy those the from the Glazers, that main percentage, which is like the 69% or whatever you said, or 69%, and then the remaining shares from like the, you know, minority stakeholders. But he didn't get that message across clearly, so people are thinking, you know, it's not 100% takeover bid. But my thing is he's already getting sort of support advice from Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, and he's already they're you know, we're hearing stories about them bankrolling him to sort of cover like the debt, which is like 500-600 million or whatever it is. And it just makes you think like you're already going into this situation getting loans, and he's saying that he's going to put it on Ineos and not Manchester United. Fair enough. If you leave, you take the debt with you. Ineos takes it, fine. But if you are in servicing this massive debt of 600-700 to whatever million, 500 million, it doesn't give Ineos that flexibility, or maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe that flexibility as you would like them to have. It doesn't. I don't know, but it does nothing to help.
Like, he's gonna put you on Ineos, saying, you know what, that fare is not gonna be on Man United. Someone needs to pay that money back regardless anyway, whether
Someone
it's gonna be for the club, we don't know. But one thing about United is that if you look at the chart in terms of like what owners have put into the club, even across the whole Premier League, we are the least bottom. Our owners haven't put a penny of their money in the club. You know, I mean, you got a lot of clubs. The Everton owners put more money inside it than Man United. So if he's having to borrow the money and buy United, and then he's going to put you on a company, which I think the company is actually like buying a thing. Are the company going to be able to put their own money into Man United, or are they going to rely on the club to actually look after itself? Because obviously, Man United is a big club, and we can look after ourselves too. But at the same time, sometimes you want owners' investment to kind of help out. I don't see where he kind of like invest his own money into the club. I just don't see that. I don't see where he's going to kind of like just do that. And there's the big issue too about the stadium, which is going to cost another extra 1 or 2 billion too. If you're going to take another loan to build a stadium, who are you putting that loan to? You're going to put it on United, or you're going to put it on a company too? So
that's the thing.
With him, there's a lot of questions that he hasn't answered just yet. You know, a lot of questions.
It's true. It's like if you he's effectively, if he's owning Manchester United and he's putting that debt on Manchester United, effectively, even though it's not, you know, technically speaking, when we're not in debt, he's the one that we're going to be looking to finance everything and bankroll our money, you know, stadium. If he hasn't got the flexibility because he's spent, you know, he's owing loans to, you know, this bank or that bank, it's not going to help us, you know, navigate in the transfer market like we want to. It's not going to help us do stadium rebuilds, invest in a women's team, invest in a city, like what Qataris are saying that we want to, because they've got all of these debts that they're trying to service. And now you've got, so I mean, I just feel like people just need to think about it. In my mind, look, I'm leaning more to the Qataris because of all of the promises that they made, black and white promises that they've made, and all the things that they're going to do, some of which I mentioned before. And my thing is this: we've got to kind of draw the line somewhere when it comes to all of the politics. You know what I mean? Like every country, every sort of Ineos, like, you know, their chemical sort of setup, people's going to have queries about what's going on there. People's going to have queries about Qatar. People's going to have queries about every country. Look, we're living in a country, you're living in a country where people's going to have issues with queries of one thing or another.
But my friends, I
just try to keep it football based.
Yeah, but then here is the issue though, because Qatar as a country, yes, they do a lot of things, but the person buying Man United, it's not a state buying it. It's an individual buying it on paper anyway. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
It's probably backed by this, because you know how it goes.
But whether he's backed or not backed, on paper, he is an individual buying it. I'm Ghanaian. If I'm going to buy a club, they're not going to judge me based on what's happening in my country. So I don't think they should judge this guy based on what's happening in his country. So obviously people are going to say, oh yeah, the money is going to come from the state because his dad used to be a former like prime minister of Qatar and all that kind of stuff too. But at the end of the day, he's saying like, I'm buying the club. It is me that's buying the club. It's not the state. So I think people need to separate that type of like criticism from the country from him, because he's an individual and it's not the state. The state's all PSG. He is buying it as an individual. So when it comes to that, people just need to be very careful in terms of that, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah, I can't hide it. And I feel that there's a lot of fans that really and truly just want us to be able to have the best of both worlds. That's what our fan base wants. Want it to be all clean, nice, clean slate. But in reality, when you talk about this setup where you've got this billionaires playground, a lot of the time you've got people that just want to make profit off your club if they invest in like the Elliott Group, for example. So I hear anyway. Don't come after me.
With the Elliott Group, I read what I read was, it was very interesting what I read. Like obviously, because they are trying to get a minority stake, and from the information and from the reading I do, the minority stake is not just for the Glazers. They could also offer it to Sir Jim if he needs it, or even the Qatarians if they need it too. So what they're trying to say is, for example, see how Ratcliffe is just trying to say, look, I'm going to buy the 69%. They could say, look, why don't you buy the 59 and we're going to own the other side of it too. So they just want to be part of Man United. They've seen something about Man United that they feel like is going to be good for them in future. So they just want to be part of it. So they're just trying to like offer the money there. So they're not just offering it to the Glazers. They're just offering to anyone that can take it. But they just want to be a minority stakeholder in the football club. They want to be involved some type of way. That's what they're trying to do.
So this is the scary thing, because obviously with the Glazers, their interest is just going to be, wanting to obtain the most amount of money. They've actually ripped off this club. They bought it for pennies, in a few millions. They've been taking out dividends. They haven't invested any of their money, and now they're getting a big payout of potentially, so Sportico, they just released the statement. So this Sportico is a media news company, and there was the company, I believe, or one of the pages that got the drop on the exclusive on the Todd Bowley sell. Sort of purchase. And they're mentioning again that, Thani put in a £6 billion bid, $7.3 billion, and Ineos and Jim Ratcliffe put in £5 billion, which didn't, come clear and near enough to the.
I think Sir Jim one is 5 billion with debt, and then the Ineos one is 5.5 without debt, and it's 6 million with debt. So compared to what the Ineos, and then I think it's almost like about $1 billion kind of like different if you want to do both of them with debt. So it's a very huge gap. It's a huge gap. Yeah, it's a huge gap.
And that's the thing. So I feel like if you're talking about financially, just from a pure financial perspective, I feel like Qataris obviously have the upper hand. The wealth rich sort of country. But then you look at it when you start to hear all of these things, because obviously the new person came. There's many people that we're hearing. There's a few people that they've made themselves known, and then there's a few people in the background. I've heard of 8 bids, 8 interested parties. I heard there was 20 initially. It got half to 10, and then all the unserious ones got removed, and then you hear different numbers, but it's definitely more than what we're hearing mainly. And you've heard of Elliott Group, you've heard of and there's another one which come out, this guy called Thomas Zilikas or whatever. He's an entrepreneur, and he came out with that wild sort of idea of purchasing half of Manchester United, and the fan base, the whole billion fan base, contributing $3 to make it possible. I'm just like, how do you even get that level of engagement? So it's a non-starter from then. But he then came out with a statement to say he wants to partner up with Jim Ratcliffe or anyone else. Like he said, let's do this together, make this purchase together. And those type of things worry me, because you've got the Glazers that's interested in just the highest bid. They don't care about the configuration of the purchase. They don't care about any of that stuff. They just want the highest bid, and could potentially sell the club to multiple combined in a consortium of investors that don't really know, don't really strike you as having, delivering on those promises that maybe Qatar has set out. What's your thoughts on on that? Is that worry you any shape or form?
it doesn't anyway. It doesn't because here is the thing: the money that the Glazers are asking for is above Man United market value. So whoever is coming in, you have to pay over the odds for it. And let's also already know that this is actually going to be a world record for a sports team. And for the man that they're asking for, not just anybody that just kind of like come and just do it. Yeah, you know, even look at that. Say Jim is having to go take out what they call it, bank loans to kind of to do it. So it's one of those ones where it's not straightforward like that, you know. And with the minority kind of like stakeholders too, you ask yourself like, with how the Glazers have run a club, what will other people want to kind of like offer the Glazers in terms of like being a minority kind of like stakeholder? What would they want in return? Because a lot of people are not going to give you their money just for the sake of, oh, let me give you your return too. Because Man United, for the last few months, we've been making a loss. You know, we have been making a loss and everything. So it's just, I don't know, right now, and with Qatar too, we just know how they move. You know, they don't get involved in like a bidding war. So if they know that they're not confident to winning it. So right now, I'm just kind of like more relaxed. I feel like the Glazers, they want to sell. So I don't think a minority stake is an option that they want to take because they got a lot of siblings still that all of them need to agree with it. It seems like they're very disagreements in terms of like what they want to do. So I think they're going to sell. It's just a question of will they get their asking price or not. The rumors is like they're going to get that. And to be honest with you, if they don't take this money, I don't see where they're going to ever get this money again too. And if they don't, they take a minority stake too, they need to spend a lot of money to improve the football club. And since they've been at the club, they never spend their own money too. So I don't see why they will start doing that now.
Do you know what? Yeah, I am more convinced that Manchester United is definitely going to sell this club for sure. I mean, the Glazers are going to sell this club because I just don't feel like you engaged people of that level, that stature. You know, the Qataris. I don't feel like you engage Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos and all of their advisors and all of these big groups. Yeah, you've got some vultures maybe that's circling that want to just make a opportunistic profit, but I don't think you get these people from their countries, even though they're maybe Al-Thani's right-hand man and all of them stuff, or Jim Ratcliffe came himself. I don't think you engage them, have them in your office, showing them around, doing presentations, doing 10-hour sort of meetings plus, just for you to be like, no, I'm not on it no more. And a lot of the things that we're concerned about or worried about, or all the little finer details, they would have discussed in this meeting. They would have thrashed out in this meeting. So I do think it's going to get sold. It's just, yeah. I mean,
I think, look, somewhere is going to get some kind of like deal because we know the Glazers need money in order to move the football club forward. Whether they want to stay and be honest, they need money. Their club need money to do a lot of stuff. So they're going to have to accept a deal somehow, whether it's a sale for them to leave the football club or a minority stake. The question is, who is going to bring the best deal? You know, and from all the readings that we've been doing too, it sounds like the Qatar people are bringing in the better deal. You know, they're bringing a better deal. As I said to you, even if someone offer a minority stake, at what cost? You know, because the Glazers own 69%. So that means that they only got a few that they can sell, 18% that they can literally kind of like sell out of the club. And then if they sell the 18%, whoever is buying the 18, how much are you paying for? And if you're paying that means that some of the siblings, because I think there's about 4 or 5 of them, some of them will either walk away from the club or no, and they're either going to take the money and just go. So again, it's just too much kind of like politics around the minority kind of like stick with it, but people don't see it like that. You know, I think eventually, as I said to you, they're going to do a deal, but the question is what deal, and nobody get their asking price. Sometimes you have to just meet people in the middle. So I think by all said and done, there is going to be a deal. The question is, who is it going to be for? Is it going to be the Qatars? Is it going to be Sir Jim and his company? Or is it going to be a minority kind of a thing? I feel confident it's going to be the Qatars. But then again, people read different news and they're going to come up with different outcomes.
I think another key thing was the timeliness of it as well. That'll be very important for next year because that can determine, you know what I mean? It could determine next year, the next, you know, the outcomes of next season, you know? So in terms of getting it done before, well in advance of the transfer window, hopefully we can.
I think from another thing that I've been reading too is that it is gonna be done. The Rain Group who are in charge of doing the deal, they want to get done because they got another offer on the table to sell WWE.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get, because they don't do 2 deals at a time. So what they want to do is they want to get this deal out of the way so that they can focus on WWE, because WWE also do want to sell, and I think the Saudis are interested in buying that too. So they want to get this one out of the way and move on there. So I don't think it's something that should be dragging on. I think best case scenario, by the end of April, we should know who the owners are going to be, and it's just more about them kind of like going through the whole Premier League kind of like check and just do the handover. Maybe that might take a bit of time, but I believe by the end of April, we will know whether we're going to have a new owner or if the Glazers are taking a minority stake or not. I think we will know. We will know, or maybe even sooner than that.
Look, man, that's it. I mean, it's an interesting time for a Manchester United fan. You understand? It's an interesting time, and I'm interested to see. And maybe this we'll talk about this in the next video. Is the 2 other signings. Look, we're gonna obviously.
Mbappe is coming, by the way. Mbappe, I spoke to Mbappe himself. He said he's coming.
Well, Mbappe coming when how much is it?
I'm tired of this place too. I'm tired of this place. So hopefully we got an owner who want to flex their muscles like how the Chelsea owner did, and we are having more of a better transfer window than with this summertime. Because last summertime it was a very stressful window. You know, we having to sit here, having to do like, oh, we don't have enough money, dragging away Frankie de Jong. Look, I hope it's not that type of summer. I hope it's a summer where the money is there. We just know we have the money, and we just literally kind of like going for better targets, you know, and not doing like penny pinching type of like signage.
You know what? I'm excited for. I think that could make up the next video. Still, probably chat about what signings, you know, with the new owners clearing the debt. What doors does that open, and what players does that? Do we have access to?
We can about it. It's simple. Mbappe.
Keely. Hey, look.
But there's a lot of like what do you call it? Key areas in our team that need to be strengthened with. So I think when we're done that, we can probably kind of like go through and look at some of the best players in that position. Because when you have that kind of like money, and our manager have said it, he said, I want to construct the best team in England and the best team in Europe.
Come on.
You only talk that if you know money is coming somewhere, man. So we are gonna look at some of the targets like that and then kind of like go through that, because there are some very hot talent in Europe, and with the kind of like money that we're gonna get and with the owners that we are, if they are probably say that they are linked to like the quarters of PSG, as we know, you know how they do business, man. They like to go for the best. So we'll probably do more video talking about some of the best talent out there.
Jeez, look, I'm excited for that, man. I'm excited, man. In this break, we're gonna chop it up, try and get a few discussion points in, man. Your non-game day type of discussions. But look, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let us know who you want to be the new owner. Do you want it to be Thani? Do you want it to be Surgeon Ratcliffe? Do you want it to be this Zulu, whatever name is? Do you want it to be the Elliott Group part ownership? Let us know what you think, and drop your comments in below on, you know, what players you want to see coming in. He was your key signing. Obviously, we know what ours is. Keely, Mbappe, dog. But remember to like, comment, and subscribe and support the thing. Until next time, peace.
Peace.